You've got to hope for party unity and all the rest of it at the moment. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. But this is one heck of an in-tray for someone walking into number 10.
She understands that. Let's not forget that Rishi was Chancellor for just under a month by the time the COVID pandemic hit us, the economy shut down, and we were all sitting at home, huddled around our televisions, wondering, frankly, how businesses were going to survive, how people were going to buy food for their families because they didn't know where their salaries and their wages were coming from. And yet Rishi turned it around in the furlough scheme and all of the other business support schemes that he rolled out. He did that quickly, he did it compassionately, and he did it effectively. And so whilst there is an enormously difficult set of issues for Rishi to face, the fact is he's a brain box, and he's got the character, but also that sense of decency and compassion to deal with these issues step by step as effectively as possible for our constituents and our country.
Rishi Sunak has to unite the party, but not only that, he's got to persuade the public of his credibility. How do you answer the ever-growing calls that say the public did not elect Rishi Sunak? He's got no mandate.
Well, first of all, I think even in the few hours overnight that Rishi has become leader of the Conservative Party, and of course he's not Prime Minister yet, he has to meet His Majesty the King for that to happen, but he has shown humility. He's also shown a sobering awareness of the challenges he faces. But also he has said to my colleagues, to us as a parliamentary party, look, we've got to get together to fix these problems for our country and for our constituency. And in fairness to Rishi, the endorsements and the support that he gained over the weekend from all corners of the Conservative Party, I think really does show that we all, as members of Parliament, want to pull together. We want to focus on our country and the issues we're facing, because that's why I came into this to become a member of Parliament. It wasn't to have 6 weeks of pretty brutal, fast-paced politics. It was to help people, to help my constituents, and to be a force for good. And I think if we can remember that one unifying fact, actually there's a lot of goodwill there, and we'll be able to pull through.
But you talk about him being a man of decency and compassion, and that he demonstrated that. How does he then demonstrate that when we've got these public sector pay rounds coming up, where people are really, really struggling and want an inflation-meeting, if not inflation-busting pay rise? That's going to be very problematic for him.
It's going to be incredibly difficult, not just for the government, but of course for people who are working their socks off in the public sector, in our hospitals, on the policing our country, whatever their role. It's an incredibly difficult set of circumstances. And look, today we're a few hours, as I say, a couple of hours before Rishi takes over as Prime Minister. I hope you'll realise, I haven't been involved in those discussions, but he will get to work immediately with his Chancellor to find solutions to these, because, as I say, during the pandemic, he listened, he understood the problems that people were facing, and he came up with some very effective solutions. I think the next few months are going to be very difficult. I think we're all realising that, with all of the international factors as well as domestic factors here at home. But the energy price escalation is going to continue with Putin. That's why Liz Truss did such a good thing announcing her energy price guarantee. But we know there's also food inflation, you've just been talking about it, and other problems and challenges for people's purses and pockets. So bear with us. Rishi will be Prime Minister in a couple of hours. He's going to set out his vision, and I very much hope and expect, actually, that we, the Parliamentary Party, will unite behind him to help him deliver these solutions for our constituents and our country.
You keep talking about solutions. The opposition will say many of the problems that your party are facing right now are self-inflicted. What are the solutions to those?
Well, I think in fairness, actually, we know that we're not the only economy in the world that is facing difficulties. You look across the world, there are challenges with all central banks that have engaged in quantitative easing over the last few years. That has built up, it seems, problems now in terms of the cost of debt and interest, the knock-on impact on interest rates and so on. We also know, coming out of the pandemic, I've had many conversations with businesses who've said to me that the supply chains that before the pandemic used to work without any problem, any hitch, now, because of the backlog with the pandemic, businesses are having difficulties getting hold of materials or shipping things out. This will all take time, and we will need international solutions for some of this. But here at home, the markets have stabilised in the last 24 hours. That is a significant factor. I think it shows confidence in Rishi going forward. The markets know Rishi as a former Chancellor. Of course, they know him. They know of his professional background before he came into politics as well. And of course, during the summer, he was delivering some of these very, very difficult messages. He was talking about tackling inflation. I think I came onto your programme to talk about it. We've got to tackle inflation because so much else flows from that. And he has also identified what can happen when the markets take fright and don't believe that, do not agree with the government of the day. So all of this, Rishi will take on board with his Chancellor, and we will begin, as I say, to see solutions. But please, I do not underestimate the scale of the challenge ahead of us all, because I think this winter is going to be very, very difficult.
Victoria Atkins, good to talk to you.